Yep, I want to move us on now to a brilliant article by Tom Pride. And in it, he talks about the relationship that Jimmy Savile had with the Conservative Party. And one of the reasons why I think, again, going back to what I've said about the corporate media, of course, but why it's a can of worms, because we're not talking about Jimmy Savile being a lifelong supporter of the Labour Party or any other political party. We're talking about Jimmy Savile being a lifelong supporter of the Conservative Party. So one of their most famous voters and supporters was a heinous, prolific child sex abuser. And when you look at some of the people who have supported Jimmy Savile along the way, Margaret Thatcher was a very good friend of Savile. They lunched together. They even spent many Christmases together. And she personally lobbied for his knighthood. Baroness Trumpington, the Tory Baroness, was the first to appoint Savile to a hospital board in 1987, where he was a prolific sex abuser. When she was Tory Health Minister, she always referred to Savile as Dr. Jimmy Savile in official documents, despite him having no medical qualifications at all. So you think about how he wandered around these hospitals, including morgues, raping dead bodies, raping living bodies. Earl of Dundee, Tory peer and whip, the Eton-educated hereditary Earl, was a big fan of Savile. He would also regularly elevate Savile to doctor in his fulsome praise of him. This is from Hansard, the operational management of the hospital is in the hands of a specially formulated task force whose best known member is Dr. Jimmy Savile. Dr. Savile has been involved with the work of Broadmoor Hospital for many years, and is now devoting his considerable talents to ensuring that the hospital functions smoothly during this difficult interim period before the new Special Health Authority comes into being. That vacuum that Savile filled, goodness knows what catastrophic effects he had on people's lives. Edwina Currie, who keeps being dragged on by the corporate media, especially Good Morning Britain and others, regularly. Currie loves Savile. She was the Tory minister who bizarrely decided to put the dodgy DJ in charge of secure psychiatric hospital Broadmoor. In a press release from the time, Currie had this to say about Savile: "He is an amazing man and has my full confidence." Peter Giaconelli, Tory Mayor of Scarborough. Giaconelli has now been revealed to have been part of a paedophile ring which included Savile and which was operating in and around Yorkshire for decades. Alan Franey, former head of Broadmoor and now Tory councillor. Franey was a close friend of Savile, regularly running marathons with him. And Franey was the CEO of Broadmoor at the height of Savile's sex crimes there. He is now a Tory councillor and deputy leader of Welwyn Hatfield Borough Council. I don't, the idea that the Tory party, I think, in terms of you letting the cat out of the bag, it could be right, because during the 6 weeks running up to an election, once the corporate media has chosen sides, there's almost nothing you can do about it. So it'd be only the independent media who would be trying to get that information out. And their reach, of course, is far less than the corporate media. But the idea now that the independent media can be proactive and get this information out and start asking the corporate media, why aren't you reporting this? This information is out there. Tweeting them, emailing them, Instagramming them, Snapchatting them, Facebooking them, doing anything to get the corporate media to answer as to why they've never taken this seriously, why they've given the Conservative Party a carte blanche to support a paedophile that he may have been dead, since 2011, but the effects of what he did are still contaminating the life experiences of many, many, many people. And people are still voting Conservative. Now let's see how
people still voting Conservative, Jace, after things happen like Theresa May announces that they've lost the files on paedophiles.
Yes, no, I get that, but the problem is, mate, it's the corporate media who aren't blasting this on the page day after day. They made all that crap up about Corbyn, as you rightly said, and they repeated it, they repeated it, and they repeated it. Whereas they'll put something in the Mail or the Telegraph occasionally, but they've got a plan. And then they move on. If this plan was really to damage the establishment, sorry, if the outcome was to damage the establishment, they wouldn't touch it. Because they're all members of that exclusive, sinister club. So the point being here is before we finish off, Tom, is that when you look at the history of Savile and the Conservative Party, there is any amount of evidence and any amount of opportunity there for one, the corporate media to be dancing all over it for months, if not years, and two, the GPP and the CPS to be knocking on multiple people's doors, getting information together and getting a lot of these people in court. Unfortunately, then you find out that the police officers at the top in certain parts of the country were part of the very paedophile rings, that so was Savile. So the establishment want to do nothing else but keep it quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got to go, Jace. As you know, we were time limited today because I've got an appointment, but it's been great chatting with you about all this, and hopefully our viewers have found it interesting. It's something Jace and I have some differing views on, but that's all good. And I'm sure our viewers will hopefully take a keen interest in it. And certainly we need to demand more from our media in all sorts of ways.
Absolutely. We've gone a little bit longer than we expected this week, but it's a really, really, really important topic. And again, it's only the independent media, I think, who are really taking this seriously. So it's up to 10 by 6 to bring this to people's attention. What they do with it is up to them. You take care. Have a good week. See you next week, mate.
You too, mate. Thanks a lot, Jace. Cheers, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.